Welcome everyone to the Service-Based Business Podcast. I am your host, Ben Moreland, and glad to see you. Glad to have you here. I'm going to readjust these here things. So I am looking at like myself instead of we're going to use I couldn't decide which way I wanted to do this. So we're going to do it. Layout on my computer. Anyways, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about off-season and things you can do to prep for the next season. This can also be applied not so much with an off-season per se, but this can be, the end of the year is coming for your business. If you're a service business that's year-round, for example, maybe you're a barber or something, that would be something where you're year-round. So maybe as the year is wrapping up, these are different things that you could apply to the next calendar year as things to get ready, things to start doing so that you can have a better year next year. If you're someone who's seasonal, you're in lawn care like I am, these are great things to do, in the wintertime. You might still be doing, you might still be doing a little bit of lawn care. You might still be doing some snow, depending upon where you live, or what area you are in. But these are going to be things, regardless, even if you have a little bit of stuff you're doing, these can be things that you can apply for that. You can start doing these things in the off season. If you have a real heavy winter season, if you do a lot of snow stuff in the winter, these are things that you can do in the fall to prep for the winter per se. Let's get right into it with the first thing, which is setting goals. Very important is that you know where you want your business to be. So create goals for the next season, or for the next season, whatever that means. I'm going to try and use the word next season. That can mean, kind of like I just said, that can mean next calendar year. That could mean the next season that's coming. If you do a lot of snow stuff, that can mean you're prepping for the winter. If that means it's the winter time and you're prepping for the next spring, for the next lawn care season, that means when I say next season, that might mean you're in the winter prepping for the spring, for next summer, right? So anyways, you can create goals for that next season. Financial goals. How much money do you want to be making? How can you cut expenses? Things like that. So creating goals financially, I feel like that's usually fairly self-explanatory. Creating goals for your brand and your image. What do you want? Where's your reputation as a brand, as a company at? How can you improve that as a brand? How can you brand yourself better? Do you need to post more often on social media? Those kinds of things. Your customers are another thing you can create goals about, whether that's gaining new clients or customers, whether that's maybe improving the quality of your customer. That's, again, something that you can do, making sure that in that next coming year or next coming season that the customers that you take on are going to be good customers. You can't always judge that right away, of course. That's something that does usually takes some time to figure out whether, is a client going to be good or they're not going to, they're going to be a pain in your side, whatever. But trying to create that, have good customers, quality customers, and the number of customers as well. And then, of course, goals for yourself. Maybe you want to just kind of, reduce your stress a little bit. That is something that can be challenging, especially if you're if you're a small business owner. That's not something you can always control, and usually you're just gonna have a lot of stress. That's just how it is. But that can also just be having a better mental state. Having that goal for yourself, or tying in financial and self. Maybe it's paying yourself more. That can be a thing too. Another kind of self goal might be you're doing a little bit less work. Maybe you're trying to outsource some work, more work, whether that's advertising or accounting or whatever. That can be a self goal because then you have less to manage. So those are kind of just like some example goals. But creating goals is a really good thing that you can do in the off season. Think about it for sit down with your notepad and just think about it. Think about where's the state of my company at with financially, your image, your customers, and you, and think about where would I like to be for during the next season. So yeah. Another thing you can do, this kind of ties in, this is pretty broad, is finding problems. Finding problems that you can improve. This, of course, can be financial problems. Maybe your margins on some of your customers are not very good. Maybe you really wanted that customer, so you gave them a lower price. Think about that. Okay, next year, when I'm, contracting for the next season, just be like, your rate is gonna go up $5 or $10, whatever, right? So that's one thing. That might be financial problems, right? A financial problem doesn't have to be like I'm on the verge of bankruptcy. It can be, again, like I just gave an example of a small financial problem. As well, it can be systemic problems that you have. Of course, you should at least have some kinds of systems in place in your company. Whatever that really means varies. When I think lawn care, I think, ways I'm keeping track of what I've done, what jobs I've done. People owe me money, those kinds of things. That's that's a system. Your money, your payment system. You're keeping track of the job system, right? That's another thing. Another thing kind of tied into my next thing I wanted to say was communication. So it could be, your communication system. How are you communicating? What are you using to communicate with your clients? How can that system be improved? And that ties right into, communication. So yeah, finding those problems, and then of course finding the solution to those problems. How can that problem be improved upon? How can I improve that? Sometimes that's literally just, I need to do that. Maybe, I know back last season for me personally, I got really, really behind on keeping track of the jobs that I had done. And so if people owe me money, I didn't really know how much sometimes, how much people owe me for money and things like that. And so that was something I did better on this year. I wasn't perfect, of course, but something I did better was, that was making sure I keep track of that. And sometimes that is literally just me being like, Ben, you gotta do that, So find those problems, find solutions, and work towards that solution. All right. The next thing that you can do is marketing, advertisements. Look into your past advertisements. It's your downtime. You're chilled out right now in the season. This is the time to spend a few hours, a couple days, for like a week or something, and look at your past advertisements, your most recent advertisements. What have you been doing? What were the results of those ads? How could they be improved? If you're not doing any sort of testing within, an ad set, I believe. I don't know the exact categories of ads. I apologize. At least like with Facebook ads, I believe like the biggest is campaign, and then you have like your ad sets, or your individual ads. Maybe you're testing different markets. You're testing different. You might be testing different audiences. Your ad content might be changed. Maybe it's things like colors or designs that you're changing up once in a while. How far out are you posting them? If when are you, for the next, let's say for the beginning of the lawn season, are you posting in February? Are you posting in March? Are you posting in April? And which of those ads had the greatest, which of those ads yielded the best results? If you posted an ad in February and you ran the ad for a week in February, I'm just thinking like me, I don't run ads for all year round. I only run ads once in a while. So if I run an ad in February and I got no customers from it, or maybe one customer from it, for me, it probably wasn't worth it, And that's one thing about advertising. A lot of times, advertising is like you keep them constantly going, and you will see the results eventually. But what I'm thinking for me, I try to work on a pretty small advertising budget, and so yeah, like that's again one thing. Like if you did all these ads, which ones worked and which ones didn't. So yeah, look again. This your audiences, your content, your dates. Another great thing about advertising that you can do is learn. Google some stuff, man. You can learn about, of course, just general advertising things, different marketing things, your ethos, pathos, and logos. What colors are supposed to do, how is the colors that you choose supposed to convene different emotions. That's a thing, different words, how can you make your advertisements just better with like the real specific stuff that actually is going to like work. And again, some of that also might be industry specific, looking at, okay, if I'm in lawn care, it's my, go-to example. If I'm in lawn care, what, if I'm doing this Facebook ads right now, what other stuff could I be doing? Maybe it's business cards, maybe it's door hangers, things like that. So some of that might be industry specific, and some that industry specific might also be, your content, or again your market, your audiences, things like that. You might go listen to somebody that might tell you, you should really be targeting this group of people or something, and that's something, if maybe you haven't thought about it, you give it a try. So that's advertising for, look at the past stuff, look into new stuff, and just figure out what it is you think you want to do for, just create some things. And you can do, and of course, like your advertising doesn't have to be like you only follow those things. You can still do stuff you would have maybe done in the past. But yeah, just think about how can my advertising be improved so that I get more customers, get better customers, right? Equipment. That is another big deal, especially depending upon your industry. What kind of equipment is going to be good for you to purchase? Again, think about lawn care, right? Is that new, 52-inch mower that I want to get, is that worth it for me? Is that, which 52-inch mower is going to be the best for me, things like that. Finding that return on investment on that new piece of equipment. Is it worth it for me to get that right now in the current state of my business? There's some math involved in that. Figure it out, You don't want to go and buy a new piece of equipment and it just sits there and you don't hardly use it. That's not a good investment, if your a piece of equipment is just going to go sit there. But that can also be a good thing. Not it's sitting there, but you can looking into equipment, you can be, okay, let me get this bigger mower. Turns out I really need this. I didn't really think about that before. Or, it can be whatever. It can be something that's going to bring you a new source of revenue. If you're really early on to the mowing stage, mowing kind of deal, maybe it's an edger, right? So things like that, things of that nature, looking into new equipment. Is that new equipment going to be worth it for me? And that could also be in the form of like replacing older equipment. If you're like a freaking barber or something, right? You got, your old pair of clippers, do these need to be replaced? If so, okay, what kind of clippers am I going to get? At what point am I overspending for that piece of equipment? I don't know barber stuff, so don't ask me all that, but something to think about, right? Is that new? What kind of new equipment would be good for me? And looking into that new equipment, okay, which that is going to be worth, what's going to be worth it, what's not, things like that. So something I kind of talked about earlier was systems. And let me go up just a sec. I talked about finding problems with the systems that you have. But another thing about systems is you could also add new systems into your business. Maybe that is a new payment system. Maybe all you're doing is cash right now, or you're taking like PayPal or something, just like someone's just directly paying you on PayPal. How can you, maybe you can take credit cards now, looking into different payment systems or CRMs, right, that you can use to manage that. Again, create new payment systems. Another new system is communication systems. That might be something that you're improving upon. You probably have some way of communicating with your clients or your customers, right? But how can you improve that? Or maybe it is creating something new. It might be, creating something new in the form of a newsletter. Maybe you're going to start doing, monthly or bi-weekly, or maybe if you have enough content, maybe a weekly newsletter to your current customers or anyone who signs up. You can put that on your website where someone can just sign up for your newsletter, and you're going to be releasing that. And that can be, newsletters can actually be really great because you can advertise, your upcoming services. If it's getting towards the end of the summer, it's like August, September. You can put in your newsletters, here are the fall services we're going to be offering. Things like cleanups. Just say literally contact me for a quote. Things of that nature. And another kind of system is, of course, it kind of ties into communication, is contact methods. If you've had someone who you're usually communicating with them via email, maybe you're going to look into getting them onto getting their cell phone number so you can just text them, whatever it might be that's easiest for you. So creating and adding new systems into your business to help improve your efficiency, to help your customer experience be better, to advertise better, right? Just working on creating new systems to your business so that at the end of the day your business gets better. And finally, wow, this is going to be a short episode. Finally, make decisions. Again, this is kind of a broad topic, or a broad thing to say. But if and when you make a decision, stick with it. Don't try not to second guess your decisions. Like, a lot of the decisions you make don't matter a whole lot. Like Mike Andy says, first of all, you're in the lawn care industry, you should be listening to Mike Andy's. But a lot of the times, that decision that you're thinking about making doesn't move the needle a whole lot. It doesn't actually improve your business a whole lot. I mean, of course it can, right? It might for you, but it's important. Like, when you make a decision, just make that decision and just stick with it, unless you have to make that change, right? Like, if there's, some new thing or something, happens, maybe you chose CRM A and you're going to implement it in the next year, and I don't know, they go out of business, or for some reason it just doesn't work out, then of course you might have to second guess on that decision. But you do your research for your initial decision. Do that research. Okay, CRM A is the best for me. Just go with it and stick with it, right? Don't second guess yourself, and don't go back on those decisions. With that, don't procrastinate decision making either. Don't sit there for 2-3 months and just think about, what do I want to do? Do I need this new mower? Don't do that. Just make the decision. And with that, don't force the decision either. Like, you don't want to force that decision, and then maybe it was a bad decision. So you want to make sure you're taking the appropriate amount of time. Don't procrastinate the decision-making process. Don't overthink it, but also don't force that decision, because forcing the decision is, again, just as bad as taking forever to make a decision. Both of those are not going to be good for you. So actually, I do want to say one more thing. And that is kind of, again, an overall broad thing you should be doing, is just learning. Take the off season, and although there might not be a whole lot of like new content coming out, like actually brand new content from people like Mike Andes, there might not be. When I shouldn't say like new content. That's not really what I mean. But like new content that applies right now. There might not be new content that applies in the moment, or some of that content that, let's say you watch somebody and they're talking a lot about the winter stuff during the winter, but when it's spring and summer, they're talking about spring and summer stuff, and start going and listening, watching those older pieces of content and learning, right? So the off season, the down season, when you're not super busy, or you're not as busy, that is your time to learn. That's the time to think about, how can I improve my business? It's the time to improve your business. Not that there shouldn't, first of all, there's probably never be like a time where you're just like straight up not working. You want to try and reduce that as much as possible, especially, if you are someone who's like a legitimate business owner. You're not just like some teenager doing this thing, right? Like, as you become a legitimate business and stuff, like, you don't want to have a lot of downtime. But when you do have the more down periods of time in your business, you want to use that to improve your business. Don't just like take a vacation. You can enjoy that time, just like chill and relax, but get things done still. Make some important decisions about your business. Do a little bit of research, do a little bit of learning, take some notes. All right, chill, learn, listen, and figure out how you can improve your business. When the next season comes and you see the results, it's definitely going to be worth it. And that's really all I've got today. This is like 20 minutes. We're only 20 minutes in right now. I'm at 23 minutes right now, recording time. And, wow. That's nutso. Yeah, shoot, bro. I don't really got much else to say. I felt like I really wrote a whole bunch of stuff for this, but I really banged through it. I really didn't like dilly-dally a whole lot. I hope I didn't talk too fast. I do feel like I feel like I really burned through that, but that's okay. You know what? That's okay. I'm hoping that the next episode of this podcast is going to be with a guest. It'll either be the next episode or the episode after. Excuse me. One of my buddies coming on. I'm going to chop it up for a little bit and talk about something other than lawn care. Yay. I'm talking about something else, and I'm actually really excited for that. I was kind of like writing out my little bulleted script for that episode today, so I'm pretty excited for it. My first time ever having a guest on a podcast ever, so that'd be cool. I think that'll go really well as well. So, yeah, that is really all I've got for you guys today. Is just look into goals, find problems, find solutions to those problems. Look into your advertising, look into your equipment, look into your systems that are in place in your business, and make some decisions. I feel like this is really good. This episode's great. It's short, but it's to the point. I'll rock with it. Alright. That's all I've got for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoy. If you guys got something out of this, like, comment, subscribe for more, share the video, whatever it is. And, I'll see you guys next week for another episode. Peace.